You can be brilliant at your job and still blush every time someone looks at you too closely. You can build brands for HBF, Crown, RAC, some of the biggest names in the state, and still not put your own name on your own website. Today, I'm sitting down with Kate Wright. She is a brand strategist, a personal brand expert, a visibility coach, founder of Plump Marketing. 20 years she spent building other people's visibility while quietly avoiding her own. And we go there. The blushing problem she took to the GP in her 20s, the fertility journey that cracked her open, the marriage that ended and taught her the word codependency. The moment she realized she'd built an entire business around not being seen, because if people knew she was spiritual, if they knew she was a little woo-woo, she thought she'd lose the clients paying her bills. Now, this is not a marketing episode. This is what's actually underneath visibility, the story, the fear, the years of doing the work quietly before anyone ever saw her actually step up and step into it. Kate's going to tell you something today that I want you to sit with. We can do hard things. I cannot wait for you to listen. So let's just get into it. Welcome to the Pursuit of Myself, the podcast. Here we take ownership of our healing. We rewrite the rules, we turn knowledge into wisdom, and we lead our lives with intention. I'm your host, Rain, and it's my mission to empower you to get back into the driver's seat of your life. Kate, I'm so excited to have you on, and I feel like from the little chats we've had, we could go a little bit deep in this, which even excites me more, having someone on that's like so open and so ready and so authentic and willing to have a little deep dive with me. So how does that make you feel?
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm here for it. I'm totally here for it.
Oh, let's go. All right. So you've spent years building other people's brands. HBF, Crown, RAC. Oh my God, I'm probably missing a million, but they're the big ones that came to mind. What was the moment where you knew you had to stop building brands for corporations and really start building your own?
Well, there was probably a step in between that. Before I built my own, I wanted to help heart-led businesses build theirs.
Mhm.
So I've always gone for the underdog. I've always represented the vulnerable. I have a real soft spot for people who have had it tough in life, or they're just the minority. And so after working in big corporate and having my son, I decided that after sort of going back into the corporate world for a while and COVID hitting and being made redundant, that it was time for me to help smaller businesses really, maximize their potential. It's really only after, look, I've been consulting for 6 years now. It's really only after some big events in my life that happened that made me realize that I can have a lot more impact with helping women overcome their fear of being seen was something that was whispering in my soul for so long that I was like, right, this feels like something quite big for me to step into, that I started now thinking the only way to do this is to build my own personal brand.
I love that, because what we see, especially on social media, is like, women being confident and brave and coming out and speaking about themselves and building their personal brand. But what we don't actually see is those years before where you have had to unravel, unlayer, face off with yourself, look at your trauma, look at the things that have happened to you, which have put you in a position where it feels uncomfortable to be online, right? Because I firmly believe no one just wakes up and gets the slap over the head with the confidence stick. It's like, fuck, yes, there you go, woo, And that's the misconception I think we get fed on social media. So I'd love to ask you, were there certain moments in your life where you've had to work through to start getting the confidence to build what you're building now? Or did you get slapped with the confidence stick, when you woke up one day?
Gosh, I wish there was such a thing as a confidence stick. I'd be a very wealthy lady if I could sell that. No, unfortunately, I don't believe any of us are born confident, and you might have it in your nature. And I think the thing is there was this perception of people of me that I was a very confident person. And what I like work with women on is that there's this outwardly perception when you look at someone because they're articulate or they're clever or they come across as confident, it actually doesn't mean they are. And I had this big inner conflict within my world that whilst I came across as like, I was really good at my job. And so I masked all my inner world, my inner like conflict, tension, shame, the shame that wasn't even mine to hold. I was carrying for so long. And I think over time, like being the curious person that I am, I just had things happen like my fertility journey and wanting to push, 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 which became such a massive spiritual awakening for me that made me realize that, like so many life lessons, that opened me up to the spiritual world and opened me up to surrendering. Like, what the fuck is that? Like,
Mm.
what do you mean you can't just click your fingers and have what you want? And so there was definitely things like that that happened, and I was forced to listen to my body. I was forced to look at other ways of doing things, and I was forced eventually to look in the mirror and see what role I was playing in my body, I guess not giving me the gift that I wanted, which was to have a child. And whilst that was one thing, eventually I just started doing the work because I had this debilitating blushing problem. Now, in my 20s, I went to the GP. I was like, surely I've researched this. So you can give me a tablet. That would be great. And
Okay.
he sent me to a psychologist. And
Mm.
whilst that did some work in my 20s, it definitely helped some stuff. The wounding from my childhood was so deep that really I just got to the point where I continually wanted to just understand myself. And by doing that work, I realized that if I heal my deep wounds, which I don't think we're ever healed, but we certainly can, we can shift the needle a lot with that. And
Yeah.
as I kept doing that work, I realized that there's this whole other world out there. But back to your question about confidence, I don't think it happens overnight. I think it actually is a journey. And to your point, it can take years. We can fast track that for sure. I think we can certainly fast track it.
When you
But
work
we
with me, you can.
Exactly. Exactly. And that's where through working with amazing coaches like you
Mhm.
and women do the work, it's uncomfortable. It's messy. It's fucking horrible at times.
Mm.
It's like, oh my God. And it takes a really brave woman to do the work. But I now wholeheartedly believe that you do that work, you chip away at it, and you do come out the other side where you are so confident on the inside. You have the self-worth, the self-belief that you then can step into your soul's purpose and do the work. Not do the work, like achieve your vision and your dreams.
God, I love that so much. And, it's such a testament to what we see is like, okay, here's the strategy to make $40,000 months. Here's this to be able to do this. And women are like, okay, I want to be independent. I want to build my business.
Mhm.
I want to be the CEO of my life. I want all these
Mhm.
things. But when you invest in strategy and not go, holy shit, what is that thing that happened to me that literally makes me blush that I want to be fixed so that I can show up online and actually talk about my business and talk about myself. And this is the part that I love talking to because we all want that pill, don't we? We all
Yeah,
want that GP to give you the pill and just make
yeah,
that go away.
yeah,
But it's not until we go, okay, let's look at this. Like, what is actually blocking me from making the money or being the CEO of my life? It's not the strategy. It's not the $7 AI investment in, someone's magic pill. It is going, why the fuck am I not comfortable in my body and in
yeah.
myself? And what am I doing to stop, avoid being uncomfortable?
Absolutely. And when you do that work and you get the self awareness, like you can't always take away the limiting beliefs. You can't always take away the wounding, right? But when you get that awareness, when you actually shine a light on your shadows and you do that work, you like catch yourself. And
Mhm.
that's the power when you actually catch yourself in the moment and you're like, oh, I'm self sabotaging here. That's the loud ego talking. That's not my heart talking. And so that's what I think the power of the work does is it allows you to catch yourself in the moment and go, oh no, that's me trying, that's my brain trying to keep me safe. That's my brain trying to keep me in the familiar.
I
When
love that.
really, yeah, it's that's what the power of the work is.
Yeah. And I like to look at it also as like, even with grief and trauma and, guilt and shame and all these things, right? We can allow them to be in the driver's seat of our car. That is the first and foremost thing that's creating our reality. We can put them into the passenger seat by doing that little bit of work and being like, okay, I'm just going to ride with this. It's going to have a
Yep.
bit of an effect. It might direct where I'm going, but the ultimate goal is to actually get it into the back seat. Right?
Mm,
It's never
yeah,
disappears. I don't believe it all disappears, but I believe that you still get to put it into a position in your life where you are driving and it's not making the decisions for you.
absolutely. Absolutely. I love that analogy. It's a good one.
So, okay, here's a really big question. And I'm going to do this on a really personal note here because I've been through an evolution over the last, gosh, let's call it 15 years with social media, from, using social media to promote my restaurant, and I had a VA business and I had lots of different things, to having a following, using my social media as an
Yeah.
influencer. And then I've kind of went into started content creating. And then it goes into educating, which is where I'm kind of, feel really comfortable. And now I'm sort of moving into that opinion, but personal brand phase. And for some reason over the years, it's the thing that's been the most uncomfortable thing for me is to someone says, you need to be a personal brand. Like, I remember starting businesses and being like, I'm not putting my face on there. I don't want my name on my website. Like, I think years ago I had a Rain
Mm,
Embley website and I never
yep.
felt comfortable. So, what do you think is it about this whole personal brand thing that people find uncomfortable first? But also, why do you think it's so important to change the narrative around that?
Well, answer the first question first. So, in terms of why people are uncomfortable, why have an issue with building a personal brand, is that you have to show up as yourself. So that's the first thing you have to do. And to be natural and to come across, as authentic, it's I mean, of course, there's people out there that have a mask and put, beautiful photos on. But if you really want to build a powerful personal brand, you really just need to be authentic and show up as yourself. We're so afraid to do that. Now, the reason so many people, but I'll talk specifically about women, is that we feel we've got something to lose when we do that. So, like me, 6 years ago, I built Plump Marketing. One of my good friends is, why don't you just use your name? I was like, oh no, God no. Why would I do that for?
All the
It's
feels.
easier. It's easier to just build the business name and then put some nice professional photos of me on there and talk about the work, not
Hmm.
talk about me. It was way too uncomfortable. Now, the thing is, for me, is I've thought about this really I'm very capable in my work. I wanted the work to speak for itself. If I had to show up as my authentic self, people would know that I'm a little bit woo-woo. They would know that I'm a whole lot playful. They would find out that I'm a truth speaker. And then they would find out that I'm spiritual. And I would be like, I remember having this exact thought. If more people find out about that, they won't want to work with me.
Mm,
And the risk to that was my financial stability. Like, what
mm,
if I don't win those big contracts anymore because they think I'm unhinged?
mm.
Because society thinks if you're spiritual. I mean, these are the stories that I was telling myself, and it's absolutely ridiculous. But I mean, now I fully owned it. I've gone, what if I've got everything to gain?
Mm.
But you have to have that point where you're willing to lean into the fear of losing that thing you might think you're going to lose. And I think a lot of women are afraid to step into their full power with their personal brand because they feel they're going to lose something. That might not be like finances. But for me, I'm an independent woman. I'm a single mum. Like, I need financial stability. No one's coming to pay my bills. So whilst I had the soul whispers of like, Kate, you've got to do this work, you've got to help women, I was like, the time's not right. Like, I need to and I think that's why we see a lot of women. You'd be really brave. And I'd be so like impressed and inspired by women who just go, fuck it. I'm going to start out day one on a personal brand. But I see it all the time. Like, I was looking at your website last night and it's not your name. And I'm thinking, why haven't we got your website as your name?
We're not analyzing me here. No, yes, please do. I'm open to it. You just have a crack. I'm happy, Kate. I love it.
No, but it's fine. It's probably because, as you said, years ago, you started out your program and your business name and all those sorts of things, and now you're building this incredible personal brand. And it's just that obviously people, like, I'm in the middle of mine. I haven't built my new Kate Wright website either. So my Instagram's all like cool and fun and sassy, and I show that up on LinkedIn too, but I don't have the website yet to be fully in alignment, because obviously that's something that I'm working on in the background at the moment. So there is a disconnect, because women start here, and as they build up their confidence muscle and they step into their full power and their authenticity, they then move into that. And I think you see that happen quite a lot.
And I often think, I don't know what the catalyst for you was, because a lot of the women I work with, we've all got stories, reasons, excuses, right? Whether it's my husband's not going to like this, whether my kids are going to see it, whether it's, for me, it was stepping into, I've been obsessed with Reiki energy, I've got psychic abilities, we've got all these different things going on. But for people to actually find that out, I was like, ooh, it's just easier to promote my restaurant and to promote other people's products. Was there a moment or a catalyst for you? And partly, and I'll ask this because I find a lot of my clients have this awakening once they've left their marriage, or once they have been fired or made redundant from work. Was there a catalyst for you that had you step into this work, something major, or did you just float into it given the background that you were already working on?
Yeah, no, definitely there was some big moments. I think one of the biggest catalysts was the breakdown of my marriage. And I see that, as sad it is for my son and all of that, it's probably the biggest gift for me, in the sense that I started doing the work in the marriage on codependency, and I realized that I had codependency, and I was like, oh my God, like, that explains so much of my behaviors. That all stirred up so many things in me. And I think when I started learning about, so that's the stuff around the good girl and the people pleaser and the fixer, like, give me a project to fix, like, I fucking love it, like, anything, man, help me fix you,
I'll save you.
I'll save you, let me save you. So, I love fixing anything, and includes human beings, but yeah, I definitely had that moment where I felt really free to be myself ultimately after the end of my marriage, but it still required me. So I obviously started wearing more expressive outfits and wearing more color and all of those sorts of things. But I then decided, like, talking back to the point around the dealing with the money story and the financial stability, I actually went out and got myself a part-time brand strategy job. And it was just a culture of where you could wear sneakers and jeans to work. And I thought, I'm going to embrace this. And I think it's the first time in my life I rocked up at work in a bright yellow jacket and this big bow in my hair for my interview. And I was like, this is who I am. And from that day on, like, everyone at work's like, why are you like, they see me in black, they're like, well, that's not like you, And I think it was just, I decided that it was time for me to step into my authenticity and realize that nothing's going to break. The world isn't going to end. And then I guess from that sort of point forward, I just decided that now's my time. And then I'm going to just start, like, tinkering in this other world of coaching and women's empowerment work and visibility work. And from there, I guess it's just sort of float on.
I love that so much. And I guess the biggest misconception that I find, and we have these conversations in the academy about the personal brand, it's like your personal brand doesn't have to be your identity, but your identity has to be part of your personal brand. So this misconception of, I think it's also because we were, are you in your early 40s? I'm in my early 40s. I just assume everyone's the same age as me now.
I'm mid, bang mid.
Mid, perfect. Well, we have grown up in the day and age of influencers, right? And this is what I saw, and this is the one thing I struggled with. Like, the more personal brand, like being an influencer was your personal brand. And if you weren't showing yourself giving birth, if you weren't showing every single aspect of your life, then you weren't doing it correctly. And this is where I think even my brain gets a little bit muddled with the identity and personal branding, because immediately I go, well, I don't want to show all that. I don't
Mm.
want to show, my kids, and I don't want to show my partner. And, I feel like in this world of our sort of age group, that's what a lot of women battle with. They're like, if I'm a personal brand, then I have to show all these things of my life. So what's the misconception about that when you're working with people and building these personal brands?
Yeah, I think the influencer world has done, not damage, but it's really led us to believe that we have to expose everything. And I think there's this misconception around oversharing and being overly vulnerable. And at the end of the day, I say there's no rules. There's no rules. All you need to do is do what feels safe for you while still being a little bit brave and being a little bit scared. So there's a whole on the internet, all these personal brands, they're not all doing the same thing, but they are there for a purpose. They're there whether they want to teach, whether they want to have impact, whether they want to have a point of view that's going to change other people's point of view. They might be there just to make us laugh, and then they might be there to build opportunities for themselves, right? In terms of leading to a business. So I think there's this sort of misconception that you have to be overly vulnerable, that you have to talk about when you're having a bad day. And I think the influencer era has done is that people are kind of fed up of the plastic fantastic world of my
Mhm.
life is perfect. We're
Mhm.
now the other way. You don't have to swing the other way and be like, oh my God, like, I've just had this massive breakup, or like all these things are happening in the background, stuff that might be happening with your children. At the end of the day, that can actually make you spiral more because your nervous system isn't going to be able to cope with that. But
Mm.
so what I say is you make your own rules, And there's enough people out there telling us what we need to do on social media, what we need to do to build a personal brand. All I say is that have intention with the impact you want to have. Be really clear about what your point of view is and what you're trying to create. Because otherwise, people can get way too in their heads about what they're saying, like how they're going to show up. And it's like, remember, like something came to me yesterday after we spoke. It was about what's that one thing that when you are laid to rest that you want to be known for? What is it that you want your legacy to be? And often we need to ask ourselves that and go, okay, I've got nothing to talk about today. Actually, I want my legacy to be that I want to make sure that women and young girls grow up feeling like they're enough. And so you then think, okay, my work is actually not with young girls at the moment, but we think about our legacy and we think about the impact we want to have, and then we think about what it is that we want to be known for. And that's where we just stick in our lane and focus on that. We don't need to overshare our personal life, but I do say we need to be a little bit vulnerable because we're all humans, and we really need to relate to that because everyone's got shit going down in their lives, and it's nice to see real people telling real stories.
I love that, Kate. I've never heard it explained like that before because I'm the same. Quite often I'll pick up my phone and think, I don't want to talk about my daughter's MRI. I
Yeah.
don't want to talk about, going to school because my son's been suspended. I don't want to go so I just put my phone down and I'm like, I'll pick a topic, so, one of my brand pillars and have a chat about
Yeah.
that. But I really love the way that you've worked that, which is like, think about what legacy, think about the impact, and have a opinion on something or a note on something regarding that rather than your personal life.
Yeah, I agree. And, like at the end of the day, people that are going viral at the moment, people that are like smashing it out on TikTok and Instagram, they're tapping into a need that's out there. They're tapping into, like, so many people are coming out and saying about AI because there's like obviously a need for us to go, what the hell's going on? I need to upskill in that area or I'm going to be left behind. And all of a sudden people are tapping into the opportunity there. Anything to do with content creation and growing followers is always going to do really well if you've just again, nailing and tapping into giving people skills or educating them. There's a need out there for what people are looking for. And if you can meet that need and you focus on that, then home and hosed. And a lot of like content creators, they're not necessarily sharing all the parts of their life, but you will see parts of their life because we want to know a little bit more about them. And it's just the fact that we're curious and nosy more than anything. It's like, this person seems a vibe. Like, I wonder what they're into, like what kind of things they do on the weekend and stuff like that. It's like that we just need to give, like feed the nosy people a little bit of information just so we look real and authentic and we show the other side to what's happening in our life. But we don't need to go into the deep crevices of our soul and share all that information because we want to be able to continue to show up on social media in a way that feels safe to us because it's scary enough as it is for a lot of us.
It is scary. And I know you mentioned nervous system before. How do you find that brave? I mean, your social media is beautiful and bright and bubbly, and it does just like now that I've chatted with you, I'm like, oh my God, this is her. But I'd imagine that you wouldn't wake up brave every day feeling like, that's something that I want to talk about. How do you do the work on your nervous system to still continuously show up, even to meet your edges when your edges might be a little bit uncomfortable?
Well, I'm pretty ungrounded. I don't have I see an amazing body psychotherapist and she gives me all these incredible tools to ground my energy. And do you think I do that? I'm
I
not
can see
great at
that.
it. I'm not great at it. But what I do, I think for me, I have a really clear vision. Like I have seen through breath work and meditations that I've done the vision of where I'm going. I know where I'm going and I know where it's going to lead me to. That is like so clear to me. What I have learnt though is to be patient with it. It's not going to happen tomorrow. It might not happen in 5 years' time, but I think it will happen in 10 years' time. And the thing is for me, I am still the person who records stuff, goes to put it up and go, oh God, like, no, that's dumb. That's stupid. I do that a lot, right? I still do that a lot. But what I do is I listen. What I find helps me is that being such an intuitive person and a creative person, I get ideas all the time that land with me. And I feel like it's a little message of like, talk about that. I think I just ground into it and I go, rather than talk for too long, I try and say to myself, just focus on one thing, Kate. Try and keep it short and sharp and get it up. And that way, when I find that I ramble on and too much, sorry, sometimes people up for that, then I start to overthink it and look for things that I shouldn't say, or maybe that wasn't the right thing. So short and sweet is good to get stuff up and get it out and do it like in the moment. Like, okay, if you're in the car, if you're like, rather than go, like, I don't have a big following or anything like that. Obviously that all takes time and you just got to be consistent with it to get there and it will come and all these things come in time. But I just say like, yeah, as you talked about with excuses, no more excuses. Just feel the moment, feel what you're going to say, get it up, think about your intention, put it up and move on.
Yeah, I love that. I've actually given myself a bit of a challenge over the last couple of days. I just pick my phone up, record, and I post. The last couple of posts that I've done, everyone's going to go back and look at my Instagram now. I didn't even re-listen to. I just knew that they were under 3 minutes, which is what I wanted. I was talking about one's topic and I was like, just post it, like just press go. I think one of them, I even had a glass of red wine in my hand.
Yeah, perfect.
Because it's like the more that you listen to it, oh, I can do that better. Let's do it. Take 3 takes and I'll do it on the 4th. I feel like in this world, and that was actually my next question of AI, how do you feel or what are you seeing at the moment with AI impacting personal brands?
The only thing I've seen that I don't like about it, and anyone who knows how to use AI really well, you won't necessarily notice in terms of content creation. You used to have the M dashes, whenever they showed up in people's posts, you were like, that's Chat GPT. And now a lot of people have figured out, not to have those in there. But the way that Chat, for example, writes posts with a line of content, we wouldn't normally write that way. And so I guess what I'm seeing is I'm seeing a lot of I wouldn't call it junk, but I'm just seeing content that just doesn't feel heart-led. It doesn't feel authentic. And there has been people that I'm following that I'm like, oh, this is like, it's starting just to feel like glossed over. And I think that's the risk with AI. AI is definitely going to change the game for women in business because we're trying to do so much. We're trying to get dinner on, we're trying to get the kids sorted. We're trying to then at night figure out how to do all our admin stuff. And then we've obviously got to work in our business as well. It's going to be a game changer for efficiency. But I think in terms of content creation, We just have to be careful that we're not allowing these AI tools to completely replace our voice. And that's where I think we're just going to see a lot of that come up. And the brands that are authentic and true to themselves, who are being conscious about what they're saying and what putting out there, they're going to win.
Mm. So what would you say, and I know I've heard you say it before, that your personal brand is your reputation, right? So when it comes to building that, how do you do it with the end in mind, or do you do it with the, what do I like? What are my values? Or do you do it with like the big vision, the business at the end, or the goal or the intention at the end? How do you sort of work that back?
Well, I think, if you were talking about, there's a few things here. So there's our brand personality. It's like, how do we come across? So that's really important, because for me to step into my full authenticity, I've had to be a bit, I'm super playful. Like all my friends will say, you're so fun, Kate, and cheeky and playful. And I've got a great sense of humor, but God forbid would I ever crack a joke on LinkedIn or anything like that. I mean, most people on there are talking about how they just got an MBA and they got,
Yeah.
CEO, and here I am. I'm like, fuck it. I'm just going to have fun. So the thing is, there is the content part, which is what are we going to talk about? But there's the essence of who we are, how we talk about it. And I think that is where you go, am I going to embody my full personality? Am I going to be like, not everyone obviously is like me. We are all unique in our personality and how we show up, our tone of voice. And so I think it's about, am I going to build my brand around being known as, rather than me being known as a brand expert, which obviously, like, in the corporate world, people would say, Kate's brilliant strategic marketer, growth marketer, and brand strategist. But I actually want to become more known for like cutting through the bullshit and the masks and being like, I want to see more women on LinkedIn who are consultants or whatever they might be, being authentic and storytelling. So I say, for me, I'm going to lead the way. I'm going to start putting pictures of me in Bali talking about how hard I found traveling on my own with an eye disease. And I just put it out there. And it was pictures of me, not in my bathers, but like in a nice summer dress and, sitting all sweaty with no makeup. Like I was like, I'm going to lead the way. So it's not, and that had nothing to do really with what I'm selling, but it's part of my vision about what I want to inspire other people to do. So it's not super simple, but it is about embodying our essence, showing up as that. Like sometimes I might just put something playful up there that's a little bit to do with what I do, but I think sometimes we just need to stick to our pillars, but we're allowed to go off piste a little bit and have fun. I say have fun with it.
I love that. So, okay, not hypothetical. I've got the women in the academy that are, some of them are building businesses, some of them are building personal brands, some of them coaching, mentoring, all different layers of entrepreneurs. But what would you say to the woman who is founding a business? I've actually got one woman in mind. She's founded a business. It's going to be incredibly successful. We've done the vision for the business, but she doesn't want to be like seen online. She doesn't want to be a personal brand. How could she move forward for that business? But also, what is the importance of her growth or the evolution of the business to actually step into that personal brand in a way that's going to serve her?
Yeah, sure. I think, first of all, it's absolutely fine to build the business without her being the front of the business. You have to start somewhere, and there's never a perfect time to start, so just start, I say. So it's great that she's starting and that she's stepping into her vision and she's going to go for it. Like, brilliant. Like, we need more people being brave and taking the leap of faith and starting businesses. So that's great. The only challenge with that is that if she doesn't want to, tell me what her business is. Are you happy to share that?
Yeah, it's like an online marketplace. So she's very specific about the clients and the products that she sells.
Sure.
But my conversation with her is it's so passionate and heart-led because of all these experiences that she's had in her life, which is the reason why she's so passionate about giving these products and people platforms. I feel there's a fear underneath of, judgment and family, especially family, judging her. And so it's easier for her to lean into the not being seen and to be hiding, and that is coming across as, I don't want to be the face of this, right? That's again, like whether that's authentic or whether it's the trauma that is driving that decision, she has to figure that out. I'm only opening doors and she's going to go through those. But, when it comes to that sort of side of things, yes, we can become the personal brand. It's going to drive it a lot faster. But is there a way that you would encourage people to be able to step out of that shell and into this personal brand so that they could really sort of not feel or grow? What's the word I'm looking for? Feel comfortable, feel that passion as they're growing that business?
Well, I think the thing is to make sure they're not talking about themselves. So when they show up and talk about themselves, their nervous systems are going to and it's going to be a struggle. So the way to do it is baby steps. Like, it sounds like she's got an incredible business, and initially it will start off being the products that sell the story, right? So people will be relying purely on the amazing products that she's selling, and that'll do the and create the growth for the business. So she'll just have to be really clever about ensuring that she's talking about testimonials, and the products are selling themselves. But for her to start to lean in to being more visible, I would say that she has to start slow. So if she has a website, for example, and a Facebook page or whatever, start talking about the brand story. Be like why she started the business, what her vision is for the business, why people should choose her, why they should choose her products. Make it about the products or the service. Don't make it about her. And so what you do is she will start to get familiar with talking about something, but she has a voice. And then over time, it starts morphing from, well, actually, nothing happened. The family didn't give me a hard time, all those sorts of things, because I get it. I get what it's like to be in families and things where people are ridiculing you for showing up on social media, or how you said this or how you looked or who are you to say that? And it can be hard to shake that. So I say, rather than just wait for a moment like the penny to drop, it won't. You have to be brave, but do it in a way where you're taking the limelight off talking about her own things, but talking about her business, talk about the clients, talk about the products, talk about the story, the vision, and do those things in a way that is it's just slowly building up. And eventually she'll realize that when she did that, the world didn't end, In fact, people loved it. People love seeing the face behind the business, and people are like, wow, this is cool. And so you get evidence, as you say, to go, actually, nothing catastrophic happened. Because obviously the fear can be so debilitating that you think you're going to lose something if you show up. And so I say focus on the product, focus on the service, focus on the outcome, the result, what clients see or customers get. Focus on the business. And then as you build your confidence muscle, you can start focusing more on your own journey, your own stories.
Awesome. That's really great advice. Then on the other hand, what if someone comes to you in this day and age, this world right now, 2026, where are we? Oh my God, we're July. We've got 6 months of 2026 to go, right? And they are like, I'm ready to build a personal brand. What would be the first couple of steps that you would say to them that are the most important things when building that personal brand?
Sure. So things that I really want to unpack is their gifts and their brilliance. When I work with women, ask that question up front. So before we work on what your values are, work on what it is your goals are, what your personality is, all those things, I want you to be able to articulate to me what your gifts and brilliance are. And often, some women who haven't done a lot of work on themselves have never been asked that question. And I say, wow, this is fun. So it's something that blows my mind. I mean, my friends would say to me, Kate, you've always believed in yourself when it comes to your career. And it's probably because it's as a kid and my conditioning, it was what was going to make me feel worthy. So my career had to be what I got validation from. But so many women don't know what their gifts are. They've never really
Yeah.
thought about it and
It's
what
a
their
really
brilliance is.
difficult question.
It's hard. And so then I say to them, well, go away, ask your friends and your family, the ones you like,
Yeah.
and get them to say what, and I'm not talking necessarily about technical skills. I'm talking about, like the soft stuff. Like one of my clients said, oh, I'm really good at cooking. And I said, amazing. Now that really had nothing to do with what we were working on, but it showed me that she was creative. I think I like to know what their gifts are, what their brilliance is. And then we look at things like, okay, what's important to you? What are your values? Again, that the world won't necessarily see your values, but it will be important in terms of how you run your business and how you show up and all those, and what things are going to trigger you and all that sort of stuff. But your personal brand should be like, who am I really? And, talking about identity, it's like, who am I really? And what things matter to me? What really matters to me? What is it that I actually want to have impact on? And they're like the deeply personal things that we can pull from our identity, the values, what matters to us. And then obviously the brand strategy, a lot of that then is like from a marketing point of view, you look at things like, what is my key differentiators? And that's where the brilliance is so important. It's like, what is it that I do that other coaches, consultants, doctors, or, whatever it is, what do I bring? What are my gifts and brilliance that no one else has? And I think that's one of the things that people overlook in their marketing and their personal branding all the time. They just can't articulate what their point of difference is or what their brilliance is. And it's not ego. People want to know it. They're looking for it.
How would you say that relates to authority? Because this is a conversation we had in the academy last week. It's like, if you could get up on stage and speak on one thing, if you could be on authority, what would that be? And for a few of the women that are coaches and mentors, they're like, oh, I cover so many different aspects. So I think this relates to the brilliance word that you were speaking to, and tell me if I'm wrong. But how do you pull someone's brilliance out, or how do you help them see what their authority is if they're kind of multifaceted?
Yeah, I think we are multifaceted, and there's always many things we can talk about, and we can probably talk about them really well. I would ask the question of, again, what's that legacy piece? Like, where long term, when I look down 10 years, 20 years, when I'm retired, when I've got my yacht, when I've achieved my vision, what is it that I want to be known for? And I think you can then pull it back to go, okay, I need to create maximum of 3 things that I want to be known for. Ideally 1, because then you're so single-minded. But I find until you're really confident in yourself and you're really stepping into your authenticity, you might struggle to talk about one thing, because you're like, but I actually am good at like more than one thing, and I'm comfortable talking about more than one thing. And so it's actually okay to talk about more than one thing as long as they're not in conflict with each other. Like talking about meditation when you're in, something that's completely unrelated, which you can talk about that, but it's like you want to be intentional with it. And I always say, I feel like we know what it is we want to talk about. If we just really ask ourselves, what matters to us? What are we really passionate about? I think we can basically write that down. 1, 2, there would be at least, you would be able to, I think if you actually do some grounding and sit with it and ask those questions, you'd be able to get a pretty short list of things that you're passionate about talking about. But then it's like, then you have to deal with the overthinking and like, does this fit with my strategy? And is this in alignment and all that sort of thing? So if you think about it in terms of your long-term vision, where you want to be, what you want to be known for, then bring it back. And I say, what if you don't know where you want to go? A lot of women are like, I don't know. Well, then what do you want to be known for in the next couple of years? Like, just focus on like more short term. Be like, it doesn't matter. You might change your mind in a few years' time, and that's cool too. But I definitely say right now, there'll be something on your heart. I feel like we all know there's something on our heart we're really passionate about talking about. We just need to allow ourselves to be free enough to talk about it.
And in this day and age, then, and we see it a lot of women getting out of corporate and getting out of careers that, they were meant to have to make them happy and they're not happy. How important is it that you're open to building some kind or iteration of a personal brand?
Look, I think it really is a power move for businesses with AI. AI
Mm,
is completely turning the whole marketing world on its head, and
mhm,
it's gonna turn everything on its head, let's be honest. But we're already seeing it now. There's gonna be so much stuff out there in the world that is gonna be curated, that is gonna be made from AI and spat out, and as human beings, we're gonna be asking the question, can I trust that brand? Can that brand give me what I want? It's a faceless brand. I'm going to have to spend a longer amount of time to figure out whether they're trustworthy and whether they have credentials. The power of a personal brand is you cut straight to the chase. You can feel whether that person's trustworthy. You can see the way, and I'm not talking about them showing up on camera. I'm talking about you can look at a photo, you can read about their story. Like, you don't have to be full blown in people's faces to build a powerful personal brand. Like, it can come in time. But if you talk about your story, if you have nice photos, people get a feel from you, right? They don't get that from business brands. So I say, exit the corporate world. And if I just say, even if you're in the corporate world, there's so many people out there that their corporate jobs have nothing to do with their personal brand, but they're willing to talk about something, they're willing to share, they're passionate about a topic, and they talk about stuff. There's so
mm,
many people that you don't even know what job they do on social media because they just they want to share content, they want to create content.
mm,
So I say go for it. And sometimes it's just you might have something to say. You might want to create a feeling, like make people laugh. You might want to share your passions. Like maybe you have a high flying corporate job, but you're an incredible cook or you love to flip houses. And so you create content because that brings you joy. And all of a sudden, overnight, you've got this personal brand. It's like, wow, I'm just sharing joy.
mm. I love it when you put it like that. Just sharing joy. I like my sourdough. Always
Yeah,
share.
I love watching that. So impressive. So impressive.
Kate, do you have boundaries on yourself with your personal brand and social media? Is that something that you give time and energy to?
I'm not great with boundaries, I'm not gonna
Mhm.
lie. I've had to really work on boundaries in life. So, I think having boundaries and, like, being a former people pleaser and someone who is multitasks and can do a million things, I'm not that great. I'm getting better with boundaries. Obviously, I've had to learn boundaries in my business. I've had to learn boundaries with relationships, and I'm not great at it, but I guess I listen to my body a lot, and that's probably the thing that I'm really good at. If I don't feel like I don't want to show up on social media, I don't. If I don't want to reply to people who have messaged at night, and I'm a real fast responder, like I respond to like all my friends and I email promptly, and obviously I know that's from cause from trauma as well. Realize that it's actually okay. I actually have to tell myself it's okay not to show up today. My
Mm,
body and my nervous system's actually more important. I've had a hell of a day. I get in, I've done all this stuff, I'm cooked. Why would anyone necessarily want to see me talk a whole lot of shit that I'm not even in the vibe for? So I guess from that perspective, it's not boundaries, but it is listening to my own body and my energy levels. And I feel like when you're in the moment, when you're feeling vibing and you show up, like that's when people go, they're engaged. And so what I say is just, you can have boundaries. You can have boundaries. Absolutely. I say if you're really good at doing that, brilliant. But also you don't have to, it's not black and white. I say listen to your body, and I think energy is very powerful when you're in alignment with it and when you feel like. And I think the hard thing is because we're on like trying to sell things, often people feel like I need a push, I need a push, I need to be on there every day, I've got to launch. And then that backfires too because you're just like in push energy.
mm. Okay. What would you say then to the women that are balking at becoming visible?
I say we can do hard things.
I love that. I love that. We can. And the feeling that you give yourself once you've done that hard thing is like, it's magic, isn't it?
It's incredible. And often in this world we're looking for other people to give us validation, but we can validate ourselves and we can trust ourselves. So we can get validation from doing the hard thing and doing the brave thing and realizing that it was so cool and it really went really well. We often think about what can go wrong, and really we just often need to think about what could go right. And I say we all need to be that little bit braver, that little bit more courageous, because what if everything went right?
Yeah, what if?
What if?
That's a great, like, what if? As humans, we catastrophize, and sometimes it's like, just catch yourself. What if this all went right? Awesome, Kate. It's been so gorgeous. I'd love you to tell everyone, how can people find you and your work and the incredible things that you're doing at the moment?
Yes, absolutely. Come and slide into my DMs. Come and check out my Instagram page at Kate Wright Loves. I'm on TikTok still doing that. I think that's Kate Wright Loves as well. I haven't launched my new website yet, and there's some of my audits and things I do on my business page, which is our website, which is plumpmarketing.com.au. But I definitely say stay tuned on my Instagram, because that's where I'm sharing a lot of my new offerings that are coming out soon and the new cool things that I'm doing. And of course, it won't be long before I launch my signature program, Dare to Be Seen, again. So keep an eye on that, I say. Yeah.
Thank you so much for being here. It's
Thank
been
you.
gorgeous.
Yeah,
And
thank you.
I know that everyone's going to get so much out of this. So much out of this.
Thanks so much, Rain. It's an absolute pleasure.
Awesome. We'll see you next time.
See ya.